Hi, I'm Chuck Olenek. I'm a reenactor. And that means I wear funny clothes and I try to recreate the past. And for 36 years in the classroom, that's what I did. Well, I got a house full of garb, a passion for bringing the past to life, and a desire to preserve landmarks. And so what I'm on is something I very pretentiously call a Mission Odyssey. And that's where I visit each of the California missions and the asistencias and the estancias and the presidios and other sites associated with the missions. And I do it in garb, which means I'm going to have some fun. So I found out something about a week ago when I was doing videos on Mission San Gabriel. I found out after I'd completed 2 of the videos that there was a mission dam, and it was associated with a grist mill. So I'm now on a journey to go visit that because it's something else that needs to get documented because landmarks go away. So I hope you'll stick with me on this journey. Okay, this means I start at the mission and I drive 2.2 miles to the old mill. And then I'm going to be basically going around trying to pick up the pieces. Every mission was in the business of raising food, besides spreading Catholicism and Spanish culture. And that means they're raising animals, but they're growing crops too. And amongst the crops are going to be grains. They need to turn the grains into something useful. And that means you need a grist mill. And this is the one for Mission San Gabriel. It was the first water-powered grist mill in Alta California. I believe it might have been then followed up by one in Santa Cruz. Now, this was built in 1816 by the Tongva under the supervision of the Padres. Starting in 1816, this very unique mill went into operation, grinding wheat and corn enough to feed the 1,000 neophytes that were at Mission San Gabriel. The design was, some people said it was designed by a genius who was Father Zalvidea. Others say it had problems because this had a wheel that was set horizontally and there was a vertical shaft, and there was a problem where the water would splash up onto the shaft and it would soak some of the grain, so then they had to go through a whole big process of drying it out. Once the water was used at the grist mill, it flowed about a half mile down to what has now become Lacey Park, and it flowed into a bog, and the Padres built a dam there, and they used the water to power a sawmill and wool washing works and a tannery. Of course, now doesn't really look like a bog, does it? So because of the design flaw, this is only going to remain in use about 7 years because the Padres will find something better and it'll get built by somebody else. When I started looking at the Mission San Gabriel Dam, which I only learned about like a week ago, I had no idea that I would be talking about pirates. You know, considering that Mission San Gabriel is about 20 miles inland. Now, Corny told Bouchard about the wealth of Alta California. And now here is Bouchard, commander of a fleet of 2 ships, the frigate La Argentina, 34 guns, and a schooner, although the British might have called it a sloop of war, that was renamed the Santa Rosa, that Corny was in charge of, and it had 18 guns. Between the 2 ships, he had 340 men, and he sailed towards Alta California. The story of Joseph John Chapman has a lot of inconsistencies. It's kind of all over the map. Most sources agree he was born in Boston, but some sources say Maine. And what a number of the sources agree upon is that in 1811, when Argentina declared independence from Spain, he left Boston and was seeking a life of adventure. Sources agree he left on an American merchant ship for South America. What they don't agree upon is how he ended up with the pirate Hippolyte Bouchard. Some say that he was on a corvette or a sloop of war that the crew mutinied and they took it to Hawaii or the Sandwich Islands and sold it to King Kamehameha. Whatever the situation was, he somehow was in the Sandwich Islands, and maybe he got press ganged into joining Bouchard. When Bouchard got a hold of that sloop of war, maybe he joined willingly, but he ends up on one of Bouchard's vessels. Now, Corny told Bouchard about the wealth of Alta California. And now here is Bouchard, commander of a fleet of 2 ships, the frigate La Argentina, 34 guns, and a schooner, although the British might have called it a sloop of war, that was renamed the Santa Rosa, that Corny was in charge of, and it had 18 guns. Between the 2 ships, he had 340 men, and he sailed towards Alta California. The captain in charge of the Presidio in Santa Barbara had received word from, I believe, an American that was in the Sandwich Islands, and who showed up and said, Bouchard's coming this way, and he's got 340 guys, and he's got 52 guns, and this is not good for you. And Captain De La Guerra sent word to the governor in Monterey, and the governor in Monterey sent out letters, because they were expecting Bouchard to show up in October. He sent out letters to the missions saying, oh my God, hide your stuff, Bouchard is coming. And then he sent word to the Presidios on how to prepare. Bouchard sails towards Monterey. He burns the largely abandoned Presidio. The soldados had the wisdom of bailing out of there because they realized there were nowhere near enough soldiers to stop 340 very determined pirates. And from his place of safety, the governor issued his orders. In the meantime, Bouchard burned the Presidio to the ground except for the chapel. He gave very strict orders, do not touch the chapel, because he reminded a lot of his sailors they were Catholics. They also were told not to loot the Mission San Carlos. There's conflicting accounts about the raid on Monterey. Some people say that when Bouchard burned the Presidio at Monterey, that Chapman kind of tried to slide away and disappear. There was an account that he was captured. And there were other accounts that said, no, he's stuck with the pirates. Again, we have some confusing differences in accounts. Let's assume that Chapman remained with Bouchard. He sailed south from Monterey and he was looking for some place to raid, and there was a very wealthy rancho called Rancho Nuestra Senora del Refugio, a bit north of Santa Barbara. And there's an account that Chapman was captured here. There's another account that he got freed by one of Bouchard's raiding parties and then got captured again. Which means either his luck is really bad or he's trying to get away from the pirates. And as a matter of fact, that's another story, is he basically got away and went inland, and at Mission Santa Ynez he surrendered. And he was far enough away from the coast, he kind of stopped sweating about the pirates. And this was in 1818. Well, Alta California still is a Spanish territory. And he will remain at Mission Santa Ynez. He's going to build a fulling mill. And eventually he's going to get baptized and get married. Okay, we have yet one more version of how Joseph John Chapman, who, by the way, since he got married and became baptized, he is Jose Juan Chapman now. And how he made it into Alta California is his son claims, oh no, Dad wasn't a pirate. He was a sailor on a ship, and there was a shipwreck near San Pedro, and he washed up on shore. Maybe he was cleaning up the family history. When Mexico gets its independence from Spain, Joseph John Chapman is pretty much forgiven any sins that may have happened, and he's going to be one of the few Americans living in Alta California. And he will end up getting baptized a Catholic, where he becomes Jose Juan Chapman. Actually, he changed the name a little further. And he married into the Ortega family. So there's a bit of wealth there. And now he's going to move to Los Angeles. So the Padres are going to need some help. And they have some talent. Chapman is skilled in many different areas. And he's gaining respectability. He has earned enough money that he is now owning a house in the Pueblo of Los Angeles. He has helped repair or finish the roof of the old Mission Church, or the old Plaza Church, pardon me. And now he's going to build a new grist mill, but it's going to be based on a New England design. And that's going to be with a vertical wheel, which will prove to be more efficient. Also, he's got to get a new water source. And that means this dam is going to get erected, and that's going to power the grist mill. And the grist mill is going to be located pretty much right by the Mission. Okay, one step up from the Zanja. This is the mill race that, or a section, a tiny section of the mill race that Chapman had the Tongva construct. And this was to lead the water from the dam that he also instructed the Tongva how to build. And remember the purpose of this water moving south. It's not just to sustain the mission, it's also going to be operating the new mill house, and that's going to be grinding the grain. This is one of the millstones. All right, so this was in the new mill house. I'm trying not to think of any animated characters right there. This is going to go into the mill house that Chapman is going to build for the mission. And this will be a much more efficient model. Remember I mentioned this is going to basically have a vertical wheel powering everything. So the grain or the flour actually is not going to get soaked. So they won't have to go through that horrible drying process. Now this isn't going to stick around all that long because during the Rancho period things are going to fall apart and it's going to basically be neglected. It seems only fitting that Joseph John Chapman or Jose Juan Chapman and Jedediah Strong Smith cross paths. They will in 1827 when Smith is making his second journey to Alta California, where he's going to stop at the Asistencia in San Bernardino or Redlands, makes it here to the mission, and he's greeted warmly, except there's a little bit of a language barrier. And Chapman is sent for to translate. And then eventually Smith will move on to San Jose and get himself arrested again. Hey, that's how it goes. Now, as to Chapman's fate, well, he's going to settle down. He's got money. He's going to go live on his Rancho San Pedro. And then he will eventually move to the territory of Mission San Buenaventura, and he is buried at Mission Santa Barbara. Now the area has taken on a whole different character. That's going to be a story for another time. Now I'm done with this mission. So far on my mission Odyssey, 3 Asistencias down. We have 1 Presidio down. We have 2 old mission dams down. Who would have thought that? We also have a mill out of the way, and 4 missions accomplished. Alright, so now on up the Camino Real. Actually, I might find something closer and or shorter in distance, and the 32 miles to Mission San Fernando Rey de España. I hope you stick with me.